What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Strangers Minds. I'm Fernando, and today we're gonna hit up Bizarre Bub, Scary Comp V109. And as you guys already know, I am a huge fan of Bizarre's Bub content creations, paranormal caught on tape videos. So, with that being said, let's see what he has in store for us today. Let's go.
On November 14 of 2025, a small family rents out an Airbnb for a few days, unaware that they would encounter something very unsettling while staying there. They had booked the place in advance for an upcoming wedding that was out of town, so staying here made sense. But one night, after coming back from walking their dog, this happens.
We were just out walking my dog, and when we came in, we heard Jesus Christ.
That dog was locked in. I mean, you just closed the window.
Grinch!
Somehow, the leash on her dog's collar suddenly jolts up in a quick motion before wrapping itself around her dog. It just flings up as if someone had chucked it upwards, but clearly, no one is seen on the stairs to have done that, which is very odd considering that just moments ago this was heard. Now, Sydney, who recorded this video, was just as baffled as the Airbnb host who received this video from her. But this wouldn't be the only video she sends, because the next day, while placing the leash on the stairs to see if it would jump again, this is captured.
Okay, so this is the leash. There she goes again. I don't think the leash is gonna move, but she's definitely sensing something.
That's for sure.
Every single day.
But it's almost as though like there is a threshold that the dog can't pass. And it's very it's on alert. And on top of that, it seems like it seems as though like it is concentrating on something under the stairs. But let's see.
Although the leash doesn't move this time, her dog goes ahead and does this. For some reason, it's at the same time the leash is on the steps that her dog begins to search for something. But like before, nothing appears to be there. Sydney even checks the rug to see if anything on or under it was making her dog behave this way. But still, nothing. However, there's something in this video that's worth pointing out, and it's a detail that appears in other videos that Sydney recorded of her dog. Watch closely.
So I wanted to show you guys some footage of my dog with these stairs. So here's another clip that I got of her doing it, walk over and see her, and she was so locked into this.
Now, if you didn't notice, in each video, Sydney's dog is always around a certain area of the stairs. It's always the middle or lower half of the steps, but never the top. If it wasn't for this detail, Sydney would not have realized this.
So I think I figured out why my dog just is always hanging out right here. So I just found a door back here.
Okay. So I recall watching this. I think I even reacted to this video now. But like half of the video, like all of that with the dog would have been so interesting to know the first time around. So now I'm getting a sense of what's gonna happen next. I believe I reacted to this portion of the video. So yeah, you guys, check it out.
So I don't think that it's what's on the stairs. I tried to check, but the door is locked. Obviously it's an Airbnb, so they lock a lot of the doors up. Yeah, I don't think that it's what's on the stairs like what I initially thought. I think it's what's below.
Considering that the space is on the ground, it explains why her dog is never seen on top. She seems to be sensing something that's in this room. But the question is, what exactly is she sensing? Wanting to find out, Sydney and her sister probe around the space to see what it might be that's inside. But during this moment, while recording, they capture this.
So this is the switch. You guys can see the light is on right there. I wonder if it's...
Just maybe there's someone right behind the door.
Oh my god.
Almost immediately after Sydney pulls out her phone, the doorknob suddenly turns. Although no one was seen on the other side, the door handle moves as if held from the other end. Now Sydney was under the impression that a person had turned the knob, so they reach out to the Airbnb host and ask if anyone else is renting the place.
Sent the video to the landlord of the Airbnb, and hold on, let me turn asking like, hey, is there someone else renting it out as well as us or what? Because basically he was like, no, you guys are the only ones that are in the Airbnb right now, like booked out for the week.
After finding out that no one else is inside, Sydney concludes that what happened that night wasn't a case of someone co-renting the house, but rather another paranormal occurrence. To her, this is much preferable over having a stranger inside the house. But despite being at ease now, knowing that it's not a person, the doorknob incident still baffles her. This is so, especially given that it still moves now and then.
Yeah. Scary. Okay. Okay, every time we've knocked before, this doorknob would turn a little bit.
As it turns out, this room was actually a basement. Out of nowhere, the phone gets yanked inside before tumbling down the steps and landing on its face. But it's before it tumbles that something weird happens. If you didn't notice, the phone moves on its own again before falling down. But of course, the strangest part is when the phone somehow lifts itself. Neither Sydney nor the Airbnb host could explain this. It just rises up before falling back with no footsteps around to suggest that someone was there. It's no wonder why many see this as being paranormal. To To Sydney and her sister, that's exactly the case. Whatever had been inside did not seem to like their intrusion, from the leash moving on its own to the phone being pulled inside. It currently remains unknown as to what exactly occurred here, but as with all videos, you be the judge on whether or not something supernatural took place. As always, let me know your thoughts on this one.
So I was completely wrong, okay? I recall now where I saw that other half of the video, and it was because somebody sent it to me on TikTok. A person reacting to this video. I never got to um, watch the whole entire thing, but now that I already watched it, oh man, that was interesting. That was interesting. Makes me not want to rent Airbnbs anymore, but could this have been orchestrated? Yeah. Yeah, I see it. I see how it could be orchestrated because most of the story we have to go by what we're being told, right? Like, you know, we're not asking like, show us proof it's an Airbnb. But all of this could have been orchestrated. Now, just the idea that it's not orchestrated and it's legit, it is something to think about. I mean, first off, when the cell phone gets, how she says it got pulled out of her hand and it fell, the cell phone was already stationary. Once it fell, it was stationary. It's not supposed to move anymore. Then you see it move a little bit and going down the steps. But it's going down the steps like doom, 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 which is fine because due to the steps, right? If a cell phone goes like this, it's going to slide. But here's the thing, it keeps on, right? It keeps on all the way down to the floor. Then something in the bottom lifts it up, points it at the door. That's interesting. But again, it could all be orchestrated. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think this is a legit paranormal activity? Because I got to say, this is the first time I saw something like this caught on tape. So, let's go.
Now, the following video was recorded by a grandmother who lives alone with her dog and 2 cats. However, it appears that her pets aren't the only ones keeping her company, because according to her, there's something in her house that won't leave her alone.
В зеркале было отражение чего-то не очень непонятного. На видео. Я вам всем докажу.
According to Polina, last night she recorded a video of something that appeared in her bedroom. It showed up in the same spot where it often appears, around the mirror. She's been trying to get it on camera as her family believes it's nothing. They believe it's her old age that's making her see things. But after watching this video, they're not so sure now if that's the case. Take a look.
Уходи отсюда. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи отсюда. Уходи из моего дома. Уходи. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи отсюда. Уходи отсюда. Я тебя не боюсь. Уходи. Уходи, я сказала. Уходи отсюда. Уходи. Я тебя не боюсь.
After Polina realizes that what she'd seen wasn't there, she catches sight of this, a dangling ornament beneath the lamp, moving on its own. However, it wasn't just swaying back and forth as one would expect, it was curving upwards in a strange manner that neither a draft or wind current could cause. Now, whatever happened that night is something that remains uncertain. In either case, whether paranormal or not, just seeing this out of nowhere is unsettling. But one night, Polina decides to record again because apparently she saw the same figure hiding inside her fireplace. Take a look. Like something out of a nightmare, what looks like a head suddenly appears in the fireplace, and the freakiest part is that it shows itself right when Polina starts to get close. It's as if whatever this was had realized she was approaching. Understandably, she was freaked out by this, but more so after going back to the space and seeing the fireplace completely empty now. Like before, what she saw initially is now gone. Now currently, no new videos have been shared by Polina, whether supernatural or something else. These two clips are without a doubt pretty terrifying.
Now, here's the thing. Like, I've known a good amount of Polish people. Creating or misrepresenting or even the you know, or even trying to make their private life public. It's not that I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. But I am a strong believer that if somebody, no matter how old they are, comes to you with a concern, you listen. You don't try to just, you know, you're crazy. Get out. You're old. No, 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 no. Because if, at some point we're going to get there and we would want the same attention from another person, right? Like, don't do to others what you won't do, like what you don't want to be done to you. That's now, I don't see this being fake. Coming from her, you know, yeah, I don't see this being fake. Man, but it's just, it's almost one of those instances where something is too good to be true, right? Like that is exactly the feel that I get. This is like something too good to be true. I mean, as far as the string being lifted up, very interesting, but yeah, it could be done. The other instance with the face coming out of the chimney could have been edited in, unless she had help, and this whole thing is like really thought out, really, really planned. Then it's doable. Then it's doable, all of it. But I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I don't think this is one of those instances where she's faking. I think this is one of those instances that she can turn to her family for help.
Now the following video comes from a young mother named Akina, and ever since having her first child, she's been posting numerous videos of her baby boy. It's her first child, so it makes sense that she would want to capture every moment involving her son Ponko. From the time he was born to the moment he got his first playpen, Akina has been sharing lots of memories involving Ponko on her page. However, not every moment has been shared online, and for good reason. On January 29th of 2024, at around 2:30 in the morning, Akina was dead asleep when she suddenly woke up to something in her bedroom. Thankfully, little Ponko was unaware of what was happening because during this moment, something pretty frightening happened. The following is what was caught. Take a look.
Did you guys catch like the hands, the fingers grabbing the door?
It's no wonder why Akina didn't want to share this video initially. Now, besides the fact that the door opens and closes all by itself, there's something Akina mentions that makes this whole video even more terrifying. According to her, at this moment, she had seen a figure standing at the doorway which looked a lot like her husband. But the weird part about this is that her husband had not come home from work yet. It was only a few hours before he came back, but strangely, to Akina, he was there, just staring at her from a distance. Now clearly, no one is there. However, if you listen closely to the audio, you can hear Akina's security alarm going off as though someone entered the house. It's for this reason she leaves the room to turn it off and to chase her husband, who was walking away at this point. But it's from this moment that things start to get creepier, because not long after, Akina acts strange. From standing motionless at the door to quickly coming in and sitting down in a rigid manner, it's almost as if Akina was someone else. But as it turns out, she was just scared, because after heading downstairs to see where her husband had gone, she saw that all the lights were still off and the door still locked. Her husband, as it seems, was not home yet. Freaked out, she heads back up and sits down while trying to figure out what just happened. If he wasn't home, then who was? She continues to replay this moment in her head despite occurring a while ago, but until it's figured out what happened, she'll continue to keep this video up on her page while sharing more videos of her son. For now, this occurrence remains a mystery.
All right. I have to go back because there was a moment where it looked like, so it was her, and due to the quality of the camera, it seemed like almost like fingers grabbing the top part of the door. Kind of weird. Let me see that again. Because, yeah, I know this over here is a rotating fan. That's not what I'm talking about. All right. Hold on 1 second.
Opens and closes all by itself. There's something Akina mentions that makes this whole video like the door. It's no one.
Let's go a little bit back. A little bit more. It was like when she leaves the first time. The door and the edges are pixelated for sure. You see? Guys, like it looked at like almost like something goes like this, but it could be due to the quality of the camera that's giving this effect. But check this area out right here. It's not the fan. And honestly, I mean, depending on the structure of the house, she probably stepped out, but it looks like she's closer to the door. So what's this up here? Hmm. I think it's her though. I think it's, due to her stripes and everything. I think it's her. But one more time. there. Okay, right? She's standing there unless she moves while the door's about to close, and then she's over here, but she's down here. Door closes. Yeah, she moved. She moved. All right, debunked. Man, sometimes even when I go out onto the field, I'm always you know uh during the time of analyzing everything, voice recording, pictures, video, it's a tedious kind of process. I think this is the worst part of being a paranormal investigator, is going through hours on end of everything you recorded. And then, sometimes you don't even get anything, but that one piece of evidence makes everything worthwhile. It's kind of weird, but let's continue on.
In this next video, a mother had recently shared a clip that freaked her out after noticing what was in it. One day, while looking at her security cameras, Adrian Dakota notices something inside her living room, but more specifically, around her child's playpen. She wasn't sure as to what she was seeing, so she zooms in and replays the video to check. It goes without saying, but what she saw continues to keep her up at night. Now, it's important to note that before this incident, Adrian had already been documenting strange things around her house, and for some reason, these occurrences had something to do with her children's toys. Now, it might be easy to write this off as being just a glitch or a toy that's starting to malfunction, but what's strange is that this was happening day after day, one toy turning on after another. And that's without mentioning that during this time, Adrian's daughter had an imaginary friend who she said was very tall. Now, keep this imaginary friend in mind because this detail becomes important much later in the video she recently posted. The reason why she was so freaked out by the toys turning on was because prior to this, her daughter kept mentioning this imaginary friend. And apparently, this so-called friend would show up in places where her daughter said it was, usually inside the house, near the toys. Adrian was so frightened by this, but more so by this video, because according to her, while taking care of her second child in another room, something terrifying appears in her living room. This is what she caught. To Adrian, it appears that someone or something peeks out from behind her baby's playpen. Thankfully, her child wasn't in there during this moment, but strangely, even though no baby was occupying it, the figure itself looks like one. Whether it's just pareidolia or not, it's obvious that something is there. Considering that a bowl just fell off.
Is it just me? Or could it possibly be a cat? She has animals. We see the animals moving. It seemed like she has a dog. And how many cats does she have? Because it looked like a cat rose up. And if they're all on the sofa already, who's not to say it wasn't a like another animal? I didn't really see a face. I saw like this part of a cat and the cat just moving around.
Off the shelf with no apparent cause. Adrian can't help but wonder if whatever this was had been responsible for the other occurrences before. It is strange how each occurrence involves one of her children's things. Whether it's their toys or their small play enclosure, something unexplainable happens around them. This, of course, brings up the question, could this have been the supposed imaginary friend her daughter had previously mentioned? Or might this be something else entirely? Currently, and unfortunately, there has yet to be a definitive answer to this question.
Yeah, dude. Like it looks better without the highlighted circle that Bizarre Bub uses. But to me, that's a cat that rolls. When the plate fell, it rolls up. I don't know. Call me crazy. But I think that's just an animal. Now with the toys turning on, yeah, it could be some sort of malfunction. Move the batteries around, take it out. If it keeps on happening, you know, if it keeps on freaking you out and you are feeling certain, the worst thing to do is to just keep on having something that it's making your home uncomfortable. I would get rid of it. Um, but all of this it seems just it's just an over exaggeration of your imagination.
Now, the following video was submitted to me by Ariane B, who writes that she took this video during a school field trip to the Philippines. It was 2010 when she recorded this, so understandably, the quality isn't that good. But despite being filmed on a cheap cell phone, she was able to capture something pretty noticeable on camera. And of course, what she notices is pretty creepy. According to her, she was taking a tour of an old fortress where many soldiers had lost their lives. This fortress is known as Fort Mills, and the section of this fort that Ariane was touring is known as Battery Grubs, a section where both Filipino and American soldiers had sacrificed their lives while defending against invading forces in 1942. While touring Battery Grubs, Ariane captures this.
Oh, that happened too fast. Let's see it again.
Now, it's been 15 years since this video was taken, and Ariane hadn't realized what was captured until rewatching this footage recently. On the upper level of this barrack, there appears to be something moving, but it doesn't look like a tourist who was just wandering. Rather, it looks like a moving blurb that disappears in an instant. Now, of course, given the camera's low quality, this might have just been a camera artifact, or in other words, a visual glitch. But it's worth noting that this only appears once throughout the entire video. Never again do we see anything like this afterward, suggesting that maybe this wasn't the camera acting up, but instead something that was actually there. As Ariane believes, this blurb was most likely the spirit of one of the soldiers who passed away during battle here. Perhaps this is them still living out the same scenario that played out during 1942, unaware that they're no longer alive. It's a sad thought, but nevertheless, this footage creeps out Ariane. So then, just what exactly was caught on camera at this fort? If you caught something creepy on camera, or if there's any ghost videos you'd like me to check out and include in the next compilation, you can send them over to scaryvideos444@gmail.com. That being said, let's get back to the video.
All right. So, yes, with a poor quality camera, you cannot just trust everything you see due to the frame per second and also the issues with the pixelation of a bad old quality camera. I'm not going to say bad. I'm not going to say bad because that's what we had back in the day, right? But no, I wouldn't consider that being a issue with the poor quality camera because in an instant, you see it rise up, move, then rise back down. Things don't happen just like that. We could take away the fact that it was probably somebody walking around on the second floor because it moves way too fast and everything and everybody that you see in frame, aside from it being poor quality, you see you see details, you see that is a person. But that right there was a blip, went up, moved, went down. That is not and usually if there is some sort of, glitch with the camera, it wouldn't actually be so much so that it's like, like a moving object. It would be possibly maybe like something within the shadows that the camera cannot fixate itself to capture. So it would be almost like a darker kind of like a almost like a square, black square moving around. But this was very lit up. It actually looked at like, you could tell that the sun was hitting on it. It was, it was lit up, and it went up, crossed a little bit, came back down, and I would say less than a blink of an eye because I almost missed it the first time around. So with that being said, let's see the last final video.
Now, it's often the case that videos on the paranormal take place inside a home. It's usually the setting that makes small disturbances feel twice as scary, but the same can be said for any place where something that shouldn't occur happens. Such is the case in this next video, where a group of Philippine students had caught something on camera inside an empty restroom, but as you'll see, it definitely wasn't. Take a look. Out of nowhere, the sound of a child crying emanates from inside the restroom. But the thing is, they're nowhere to be seen. The only thing that is seen are the empty stalls where just moments ago, the door to one of them began to open on its own. But even without seeing this, the voice alone is pretty unnerving. It's enough to make anyone just run away. Now, very little info is available on this clip, but what was captured is just one instance of something supernatural that occurred here. This school is said to be haunted. So then, was a ghost caught on camera, or had something else been captured? Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and make sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any uploads in the future. Also, be sure to check out the official TikTok account for this channel. That being said, until next time.
All right. Thank you so much, Bizarre Bob. Now that for me, it looked like one of those videos where somebody could have possibly added or edited in some vocalization of the little boy crying into it. I could be completely wrong. This could just be but we actually don't see nothing that cannot be done. And that is the issue that the paranormal field has right now. That is what is destroying the credibility of paranormal, actual paranormal being caught on tape, because there are just way too many people trying to stick their fingers in the cookie jar, trying to make a buck using the paranormal or get that viral video or do any of that stuff. So when somebody, especially a paranormal victim, as how I describe people that are not really familiar with the paranormal and are experiencing paranormal activity, which causes them, distress. um for you to present something out there and actually trying to get some help from a source, whether it be a paranormal investigating group or even from a church or somebody, to help, we need a little bit more than just a door closing, right? We need a little bit more than just, unless you come across a group that are going to take your hindsight, your word that what you're experiencing is 100% legit, because most often than not it is just of, people that are trying to use, just imagine this scenario. It has happened. The family comes to a paranormal investigator. I'm experiencing paranormal activity. The investigators go in, nothing happens, but they're persistent because they want their next Amityville house, right? So they start creating certain, videos, certain stuff to make it look like so. And then, no, look, it's real. Here, paranormal investigating team comes in, don't find nothing. So now they're amping up their game. So when the next time the paranormal, people, investigators come in, they already have a report, like a log. We're experiencing this. People came in. It happens, you guys. But, there are good hearted paranormal teams that, especially if there's a child involved, we'll just go, and try and ease the, try and ease the worries of the people living in the house. Most often not is something natural. Most often not is something that could be explained. But we have people out there trying to get that next famous house. So with that being said, you guys, do what you do when you like a channel. Hit that like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys on the next. Peace.